Steaks and nothing but steaks.
I want to put some salt on there about 45 minutes before I cook it. Can't go wrong with a RT 700 Rec Tech.
Jess Pryle's Hardcore Carnivore.
Oh, look at that, see? That.
I'm proud to serve that. This is a segment I've been looking forward to doing a long time with you, Chef. Steaks and nothing but steaks. Maybe a little garnish with some vegetables.
Right.
But I'm anxious to really pull your culinary knowledge, how you teach your students, you know, at the Art Institute of Atlanta. How do you teach them steaks? What do you talk about with sear marks? I had fun going to Kroger this morning. It's impressive what you can get at, your local supermarket, especially when you're shopping the way I do. I don't just go for a certain cut. I look for the marbling. So we're going to have some fun. So we're going to talk about product, the steak itself. We're going to talk about seasoning. And then we're going to get into some real fun and talk about techniques, searing, and so on.
There's certainly with steaks, there's a lot of opportunities for techniques. And since we've been recording how to cook meat, the preferred method, the information, the feedback that we get has definitely changed over time. And what I teach now is not necessarily the same thing I taught 25 years ago when I started teaching people how to cook and cook steaks. So it's a great topic, and it's a lot of fun going to the supermarket, talking to your butcher, your meat. They always say talking to your butcher, and in reality, in most supermarkets, there's an experienced meat cutter, but they're more a merchandiser than they are a meat cutter. They don't cut a ton of stuff in-house anymore. It's just the economy of scale makes it easier for the grocery store to have a distribution center that's located somewhere convenient in their market, and then they keep everything cut there. But there will be some specialty items that your local butcher will have to take care of.
So when I was looking in, these all came out of the case, except that one came out of the prepackaged. But the one thing I'm really anxious to do is to compare what you do in the restaurant and teaching your students versus what we get to do in the backyard.
Yeah. When you talk to foodies and you talk to people who don't cook for a living like I do, they will definitely appreciate and get into kind of the cutting edge of what's going on. And of course, then you have some that old school. They just want to tell me the best way. Yeah, exactly. Salt and pepper, a couple minutes aside, call it done. So there's a lot of opportunities here, and there's a lot of kind of personality that people will put into how you prepare it. And even in the restaurants themselves, each restaurant approaches how they cook their steak for their guests a little bit different, and that's kind of what they use as their differentiation in terms of their competition.
First things first, let's talk about some product. Let's unwrap what I bought today. You can tell me if I did okay or not. The ribeyes look really good. I was quite pleased. When I buy a ribeye, the first thing I look for is the spinalis. This muscle right here, right?
That's the spinalis, yes. This piece that covers the cap of the ribeye. And that is a really tasty cut. And ribeyes, probably, you ask chefs, a lot of them will say that this is probably their favorite steak. Right. The ribeye, because it's got flavor and tenderness, the texture, everything about it is just what you're.
It's the center of the bullseye for sure. That's what the Steak Cook-Off Association. This is all they do. So I bought 3 of these, and I was really pleased with the thickness because now we're into the ability to reverse sear a couple.
Oh, definitely, yeah. With those, for sure.
Really kind of fun there. Not bad, I'll tell you. Our local Kroger though is known for its beef, so that's a nice looking collection of ribeyes. I couldn't help myself here. There was a beautiful tomahawk, and I was really surprised. This is under $30.
Really?
So we're going to reverse sear this guy.
Yeah, because that's an $80+ steak in the restaurant. Right. Maybe even get you $1.25 for something like that.
Nice. And I paid $30 today at Kroger. Nice spinalis again.
Very nice. Look at that. You can see the texture, the marbling that's in there.
So this will go on the reverse sear train as well. We're going to put this one on the Rec Tech, low and slow. So there we go. Now this, again, when I shop tenderloins, and that's what we're going to talk about next, I have a newfound love affair for tenderloins. Sometimes I find them not as tasty, but I think they're also a great palate. Like you say, the texture on these can't be beat.
No, when you want like that fork tender steak texture, tenderloin, And it's because it's a muscle that doesn't do anything, that hangs interior of the carcass, so it has no work that it does, so it doesn't generate any toughness. Texture is awesome. Flavor, you know, there's some marbling in there, but it is a lot like chicken and tofu in that you have something here that the cook has the opportunity to season.
A nice canvas to have some fun
exactly.
with.
It's a canvas. It's a canvas that you can have fun with, create the flavor profile that you like.
These are going hot and fast with a bite of char. We'll season them up. We'll probably smoke them up a little bit.
Yeah.
Throw some pellets in the valleys or a smoking tube there. Those are pretty looking, nice looking tenderloins. And last but not least, the New York strip.
Yep, the New York strip. So that's a very common steak, one that that frankly is usually a fairly good choice in terms of cooking on a budget, but you want a steak. You know, and you got a couple of good ones, so we can tell that you have to be careful as you get a little bit closer down to the rib end. You get that little bit of silver skin that runs in there. We call it the vein steak. That's kind of the industry terminology for it. But yeah, a couple of good steaks. You know, these are fairly lean. Sometimes you can find them a little more well marbled. These look like, you know, a standard USDA choice. When you get into like a prime or even some of the certified black Angus and stuff, you see a little bit more marbling in there. And then obviously that fat is flavor, but you know, it's New York strip.
We go to Costco once a month. I go to Kroger once a week, right? Mm-hmm. But Costco has been flooded with prime, you know, because I guess the restaurant's not buying it up as much as they have in the past. It's been a real treat. My wife hates taking me to Costco because she knows what happens. I peel off this way, they come home with a pile of prime product. I have one more to open up. You know, this is not a porterhouse, right?
Right.
It's a T-bone.
Yeah, it's a T-bone. The porterhouse has a much bigger portion of the tenderloin in it.
Now that one is a perfect candidate for hot and fast.
Yeah, definitely. It's nice. It's thin, and you can see like on this one, if this was a porterhouse, you have kind of the filet mignon or the center cut section of the tenderloin that's in there. The tenderloin crosses between the rib and the short loin, and it's on the inside. So when you're cutting from the rib, as you get down towards the end of the rib, you're getting into the center section of the tenderloin, and you'll have a big, you know, nice middle section, or you know, a filet mignon section of the tenderloin in there. And this one is cut a little bit more at the beginning. You can see that the tenderloin, because usually this tenderloin probably ends up, when it's cleaned up, is about that big around, and you can see the difference here. The philosophy that they wanted us to give to the students was to not touch any seasoning on the steak until after you've grilled it, which was difficult for me. I couldn't, that was difficult.
I've ever done that.
Yeah, well, here's the rationale.